I wanna see the finer things in life, the bright spotlights, bodies moving at the same time. And I wanna know if you practiced slowly, in it for the money or the feeling holy. Take me to the theater, take me to the theater, take me to the theater. I wanna know you better than before.
Welcome, everybody, to Notes on Stage. I'm your host, Louis D. Felice.
And I'm Joy Womack.
Okay. Joy, welcome. Well, we've been talking, and I still hadn't even decided on where to begin. So I will start with the one time that we've met, I had quit ballet completely and had not danced in, I'd say, 4 years or 3.5. And I was at Yale studying English, and I saw a poster that somehow the Yale Ballet club, you can maybe explain this, had invited you to teach a guest class. And so I got my mom to go into my closet back home and send me a pair of tights and a dance belt and I guess maybe some warm-ups. And so the only class that I took in the 6 years that I had retired from dance was yours. I did not take a single other class. So that's my little small connection with you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And it was not so easy, by the way.
Oh, I think it was a hard class.
Yeah.
I think it was a little Russian.
It might have been just a little Russian.
I don't know if it was completely Russian, but there was a wonderful girl who was in charge of the Yale Ballet community. She's actually passed away now.
No, I didn't. Gosh.
And she was really influential with introducing me to a few of the Ivy League ballet groups. And so I went and taught at Columbia, taught at Yale, and gave a speech. Wow. And it's actually heartbreaking, but I hope that her legacy lives on. But that was an incredible initiative on her part to bring me out. And I will never forget that because it was, that's the dream, right? To teach at a Harvard institution. And that touches me a lot to know that you took my class. And I was young too. I think I was probably younger than...
It would have been 2018, 19 max.
Okay.
So,
so no, not that much younger than now.
Yeah, well, 5, 6 years.
I
6,
never
7
age.
Years. Goes fast. Just kidding. It was, Yale was interesting because there was, I think a big reason that I got in was that I was doing ballet at the level I was doing it before, when I applied to college. But there's a lot of interesting people there that, unlike me, chose to try to keep it up a little bit. There was a guy who he was Billy Elliot on Broadway as a teen, I guess. There's another kid who was from SAB. So there's a couple guys who had put in the effort to sort of maintain it as a hobby. I am maybe curious to know what you think about this, but I could not bear to just see myself getting worse. And so that's why
really
when
hard.
I stopped at 19, and if you don't know me already from this episode, but obviously I'm dancing again now, but when I stopped, it was like cold turkey. Because I was like, what, am I just going to watch myself get worse and worse day by day? So, yeah.
I totally understand that. I think one of the hardest aspects of being a ballet dancer is the mental rigor and the mental game that you have to really, really be constantly building yourself up, building your confidence, because everything about training daily is so internal, and there's such a discussion of, was I better than I was yesterday? How am I doing now? And I can understand why that would be really painful, because we have this kind of self-judgment ingrained into training, because if you need to look at yourself in the mirror. In the end of the day, you are your best teacher.
This episode is brought to you by Bar Trash. Would you like to get better at ballet? Well, we can make you warmer, but you'll still not be that good at ballet. Bar Trash, clothes that make you warm, but don't affect otherwise your ballet technique. Yeah.
You can have...
And worst critic.
Yeah.
We both went to Kirov. We've never talked about this. So what ages were you there, and what was it like when you were there?
I went to Kirov when I was 12, 13, and 14. It was the year that I was 12 turning 13, 14 turning 15. And I actually skipped 6th and 7th grade because I needed to, 7th grade and 8th grade, because I basically got accepted into the high school program, but I was too young.
Okay, yeah.
So for me, that was it. People ask me, was it hard going to Russia? It actually was harder going to Kirov than it was going to Russia, because that's the first time I moved away from my family. Mm-hmm. I was raised in pretty insular community in Los Angeles, and I went to like a Christian private school. So going into like a secular, like very, very challenging ballet program and education program at the same time, that was a big lift. And to do it all myself, that
Were
was
they
hard.
giving you, so let's say you're supposed to be 7th grade, were you doing 9th grade schooling?
Yeah.
Like academic
So I was doing
schooling?
academics for
So you're
ninth
down in
graders.
those basement rooms, for the,
Like history was my favorite with Dr. Doherty. Did you have him?
I don't think so.
He was amazing.
Well, although I didn't do any academics there because I
okay.
came for my pre-professional
Okay, so
year.
you were one of those. Like we always looked at them like, wow.
Yeah, I was
adults.
there. Yeah.
I was quite young in the school.
Yeah.
And I think
Who was your teacher? Lobanova?
I had Labanova and I had Fomenich, who sadly has passed away.
Yeah, also, yeah.
I'll never forget. You look like a Jesus on the cross.
Lobanova had, my memory is not that good, but she had quotes like that. Which,
Oh my gosh,
none
she
come
was
to mind at the
amazing.
moment, but she was an intense woman and tall and like seriously
Super
an
tall.
imposing individual.
The first year she was at Kirov was our class, and she didn't speak a word of English.
Wow.
So the translator was the pianist. And
Who's
she
the
would
pianist?
just,
Do you remember?
what's her? She's a Georgian woman married to Mr. Kucheruk.
Oh, not Regina.
Not Regina. No, she then moved to Georgia with him. I'm horrible with names.
I am
I
too,
swear.
sadly,
I think I have amnesia. But she would just translate these full out things that this woman would say. And like the first Russian word I ever learned was bistalkova, which basically means like uncoordinated, stupid idiot. Like, and I just I'll never forget her being like, you're just so bad that I can't even stand to look at you. Yeah. And she would stand on me in the splits while the rest of the class would do their work.
How would you, in what way would she stand on you?
Like with her legs.
Yeah.
She would literally, she's like, you have no turnout.
Wow.
You have no coordination. You're stupid. So you can just sit in the splits today.
And did you like hearing those things?
Oh my gosh. It was hard. But also she, in some ways, she's the reason that I went to Russia. She really believed in me. She was really hard on me. Like, I don't know if you remember her classes, but she would give Grand Battement after every exercise. And she had this like crazy series of releves and back strengthening. And because of her, I had 32 fouettes at like 14 years old.
Yeah.
She would do crazy things. But all of the girls that were trained by her were all like somewhere, like Masha Beck is the principal. And it's like all of her students that she
Rio
really,
Sakamoto, I think.
Patricia Zhou, like if you see her dance, oh my God, she's beautiful.
Yeah, there's lots.
Like she really, really poured into those early students.
Yeah.
I still am like, okay, where is she? I want to make a course with her.
Yeah.
She has a very distinct method for giving young dancers technique. And I reflect back to her lessons.
I wonder where she is now. I don't know.
She was teaching in San Francisco at City Ballet. And now I think she's just doing private tutoring.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to, Masha Beck, I don't know if you know her.
Yeah.
Her mom is quite close with her. So I'm like, okay, can we get her in a space where we could film like 6 lessons with her and just interview her? And because she has a very interesting philosophy on teaching.
And she was,
technique.
so I wasn't one of, she coached me for different things here and there, but I wasn't one of her like students because my teacher was the male teacher.
Yeah.
But I remember the rehearsals that I did with her, like pas de trois, I remember doing with her from Paquita, but just being a really detail-oriented and pretty unforgiving coach. So it was really like, I actually can remember starting the Paquita pas de trois rehearsal because I think my teacher was like out sick or something.
Yeah.
So they're like, go down, do it with her. And I'm with the 2 girls. I think one of my partners was this girl, Michaela Geyer, who now has like a pretty good music career. It's interesting to see like where everybody ends up.
Yeah.
But we're like standing there, like I think you hold the 2 girls' hand, you're in this kind of like figure 8 thing.
Where you start like that.
And you're like that, And you're like dun 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 dun. And literally I took 1 step and she just was like, nope, it's over. And I remember being like, oh, this is gonna be a brutal rehearsal. And she was like, present your foot. And I was like, okay. And then I make it like 3 steps. And she's like, nope. I just remember being like, but then over time, and I kind of resented her because I've never done well with like power and like authority and stuff. But by the end, I really was like, gonna actually respect her a lot. Yeah.
I think that's the thing that I love about Russian teachers. Like if you judge a book by its cover, you're never going to read the contents, right? And so you have an opinion by what comes out of her mouth, but her actions reflect something completely different. She still writes me happy birthday. She still asks me how I am. She comments on every single video I post. Like she is super close. And like, that's an epitome of a Russian teacher. It's like, I'm going to kill you, but in the best way because I'm proud of you. I want you to be better. And you are also a reflection of my teaching.
Yeah.
So it's quite enmeshed. I don't know if all of it's healthy, but she would literally make us restart the bar. Like we would start and we would get to run. Nope, go back from the pliés with the grandmamas.
That's
like,
soul crushing.
I mean, but at that time we had 4 hours of technique class.
This episode is brought to you by Bar Trash. Bar Trash is started by 2 ballet dancers who take the craft of making clothing as seriously as they take ballet, which means that rather than just get a stock hoodie from a big manufacturer and slap a design on it, we take a lot of time picking fabrics, fabric weights, stitching techniques, stretchiness, and a million other details, drawstrings and clasps and things like that to make clothes that work for ballet, which is what we need. We are our own customers and we wear Bar Trash every day. So check it out if you're interested in wearing clothes designed by ballet dancers. Yeah.
And I remember going to Moscow and thinking like, oh, that's nothing on what I would do at Kirov. R.I.P. Kirov Academy of Ballet. It's so sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
On another note, not to pivot, but I think that is a black hole. Like in the United States, we need an institution like that. And it's such a shame that it closed down.
I can't remember who I talked about this with recently, but yeah, I mean, we don't really have a conservatory. I mean, maybe I'm wrong because like SAB is not, I mean, it's connected to the company and whatever. Yeah. The company, I think company schools are just not quite the same. Like a freestanding conservatory. There's Rock School, which I personally don't know a ton about. I know there's Herod, which I've never visited.
Herod is similar to Kirov, I think, but they do outsource their education. And what was very unique about Kirov is we can go into geopolitics, but basically Ronald Reagan made the agreement with Oleg Vinogradov, and that's what brought them.
Interesting.
I could be mistaken. Is it either Ronald Reagan or it's George Bush the first? I think it's George Bush Senior, whom it was at the end.
I think it was George Bush Senior.
Yeah, I think I've totally misquoted that. But George Bush Senior brought Oleg Vinogradov and said, this is going to be kind of a friendship cultural exchange.
It was that. I know, it was a political, a sharing thing. I mean, it was the sister school of the Vaganova school in St. Petersburg.
Which you have the same thing with Bolshoi school in Joinville, Brazil.
Yes.
Which now is its own thing too. Like now they have the license is over. But
Bolshoi, correct me if I'm wrong, Bolshoi in Brazil started by, isn't there also Vaganova? Vasiliev, right?
Yeah. Now it's like McDonald's. There's a ton of new like satellite schools opening, and it's soft diplomacy.
Yeah.
The good parts of soft diplomacy, I think that like education is great. Let's spread education, but it is soft diplomacy.
Kirov was like post-Cold War friendship with Russia, like have this sort of soft power, or what we were calling a soft diplomacy sort of connection. Bolshoi school was Vasiliev and Maximova. So I don't know, and I don't think something like that quite exists now in the US. And you're right, it was all in one building and the studios were astoundingly beautiful.
And they've like razed that building to the ground, which is so sad. Literally just like gone the building. They're like building some kind of condominiums, which is so sad.
Oh, dude, this is how I find that out? That's super depressing.
It's really, really sad. Like, what a beautiful building with gorgeous history.
And it was made for ballet. Yeah. I mean, it was like...
stunning.
Yeah. Well, I'll explain it a little, only because some people wouldn't have ever seen it or known it. But it's sort of like the White House. There's like the central circular bit, and then there's these 2 big wings. And each of those wings is completely consumed on 2 floors with a ballet studio. So on the ground floor, you have a 2-story tall ballet studio. And then 1 floor down, you have a 2-story tall ballet studio. So you have these super high rooms, which also have a shared wall that opens so they can be double as big or put on shows in there. So in there, there's like 4, I mean, I'm kind of maybe even misremembering this a little bit. There's basically 4 enormous studios that, I mean, are almost unparalleled. Like it's rare that I've been in a studio that big almost anywhere else.
And then they had that little, I think it used to be a chapel or something. They had one room that was, I don't know where the English class used to be. Because over the years it was either a studio or it wasn't. Like I visited.
Yes.
It depended on the year. And then you had all of these different classrooms. And then you had the boys' dorm and
boys
the
and girls'
dorm.
dorms also right and left side of the building, and those are upstairs. So one of the ways I afforded Kirov, although I was on scholarship, but I had to pay rent and some stuff like that, and I would go up and maintain the dorms. So
that's so cool.
I would go up there and fix the air conditioning units and stuff like that.
I mean, it was expensive. Even with like a almost 75% scholarship, it was still really expensive. Like it was college tuition in a lot of ways. Towards the end, it got even worse. Like,
well, it's funny. Go ahead.
It's just like, I think it was it was a good initiative. And then the people who helped finance it towards the end, there were some really bad missteps taken. And then there was just some like, I apologize to anybody who was in the direction, but I felt like the choices for directors of the school were just so bizarre after Murat Tokayev. I'm like, these people have nothing to do with the Mariinsky or the Kirov Ballet. Like, why would you? Yeah.
Well, a lot of the people who worked there had something to do with the I'm gonna get the name wrong, but it's I think
Universal
it's called,
Religion.
Yeah.
Universal, like
the full name.
I mean, there's a name that people call them.
Yeah.
Do you want me to say it?
I don't know if it's that bad. The people
the
I'll
Moonies?
say it, the Moonies.
Yeah.
The colloquially referred to as the Moonies, named for the Reverend Moon, who is a Korean Christian sort of fundamentalist.
That's not Christianity. It's like another firm.
He would say that it's Christian. I'm doing it to the please let me just I'll speak for Mr. Moon. But yes, what he would say is Christian, and it's the family. It's the Church of the something called like the Church of the Family Unification. But the whole idea is that you get to go on to heaven by having created a family on earth, and so marriage is key to that. And so if you don't marry, and so that's why he was known for these mass weddings, which were like a big cultural phenomenon in maybe I would say the 80s, 90s.
Even I mean, it continues today. I worked in Universal Ballet in Korea afterwards. And
they're still doing that. Yeah. But see, he goes to jail for tax evasion. Like one of his sons runs like a gun company in Texas and is like kind of like a Trump guy. And it's a fascinating story. But anyway, long story short, that's what subsidized yours and my scholarships at Kirov was the church.
Yeah, like think about Julia Moon. Like what an incredible advocate for ballet. Yes. I mean, you can argue with her politics and like what she believes, but like there's a part of their church where they think that ballet is like a form of prayer, which that's very beautiful. Like I don't have any problem with that. And, but it's like incredible what that organization does and did for classical ballet.
Yes.
Because of Julia Moon. So, and she was an incredible ballerina, but I think it's so interesting, like that connection with Washington Ballet and then how she became a part of helping the Kirov Academy of Ballet come into existence, and then ultimately what happened.
Because I think she was appointed the first sort of director of the school or like president of the school or whatever. And then, to flesh out the story, because you and I both sort of know it, but for anyone listening, the connection to Julia Moon with the school is that the Reverend Moon had a son who died in a car crash when he's, let's say, 16, 18, young. And I suppose was already in a relationship with an American girl, Julia. And so she has a posthumous wedding with Moon's son, who's deceased. But this ensures that the son enters heaven, is my understanding of the religious logic behind it. And then she becomes a part of the Moon family, and then she is a wonderful ballerina, is a principal of ballerina at Universal in South Korea. And then she's sort of retires, I suppose, from dancing, is instituted as the first leader of this when they established the school.
She's still in charge of the Universal Ballet.
She's the director of the company.
There's Brian, who also was the director of the school for a little bit, is the director, but she's like the president of.
Wow. I've never met her, but she was around, but I don't think I ever crossed paths with her. What was your time in Korea like?
Oh, I loved it. Like I absolutely loved it, but it was like a Kirov Academy of Ballet deja vu. Like all of the things that I'd forgotten, I was like, oh, we're in a second Kirov, because the building in Korea looked very similar to Kirov Academy of Ballet. Like, there was a lot of very similar
spooky
things. It was, and then there's a lot of the graduates for the people from my time and a little bit before who were dancers at the Universal Ballet.
Yeah.
So Min-suk, this is before your time, but there's a lot of wonderful Korean dancers who went to the Kirov Academy of Ballet for 4 years, got trained by incredible Vaganova-based teachers, and went back to Korea.
Yeah.
And now are teachers and dancers. And it's like, if you look at Korean ballet at the moment, like I would argue that they're producing the top dancers in the world at the moment. Like between the Sunwa Art School, between Universal Ballet, Korean National Ballet, like the way that they have taken on Paris Opera and the best of the Russian techniques.
Wow.
Like you see the young Koreans that they are training, and you're just like
Yeah.
phenomenal because discipline, excellence, like all of that really fits inside of the Korean culture as well. I enjoyed my time there. I was there for 2 years, and then at the end of the second year, I was starting to feel really lonely because, I mean, Korea is not the same as Russia, obviously. Like, I don't know. I had this idea when I was working in Russia that I needed a change. I had been working the same company for a while, and I wanted a new challenge. And I'd always admired Korean dancers, and I wanted to understand about their work ethic. And when I moved to Korea, I think that was premature because I think if you go and you work in the Universal Ballet with a family already, it's a great company because you have work-life balance in some ways. And there was a lot of downtime where I was by myself and I was just really missing community, really missing also the opportunity to freelance. Because when I was working in Russia, I had my partner and we would just, anytime that we had a free weekend or whatever, we'd be off in Italy or in Greece or doing a lot of guestings. And by being in Korea, it was so expensive to fly back to Moscow that I, in some ways, was feeling that I was missing out on some things. I wasn't happy with just having the shows that we had at the company. Fast forward to where I am now, I'm like, oh, that would have been great.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, everything at the right moment is such a tricky thing in this career to get the timing right. So so Korea, so Universal Ballet Seoul, right? I guess it's in Seoul.
Yeah.
Follows your time at Bolshoi in Moscow and
Bolshoi and
company
Kremlin.
and Kremlin.
Yeah.
Also in Moscow though.
Yeah.
How many companies does Moscow have? Because there's also Moscow
oh my gosh,
Classical Ballet.
so many. That's another thing. It's like St. Petersburg and Moscow. There's Bolshoi, Stanislavski, Kremlin Ballet, Gardeeva,
Mikhailovsky, is that?
Kasatkina, Vasilyova. Those are like 5 big companies. And then you have lots of little companies. Then you have also, there's a contemporary company there now that's like official. Then you have the project of Diana Vishneva, which I think they have a base in Moscow as well as St. Petersburg. Like there's just such a big...
Is Mikhailovsky St. Petersburg?
Mikhailovsky, St. Petersburg. So as Moscow is to St. Petersburg, you have the Mariinsky Ballet, Mikhailovsky Ballet. You have Hermitage Theater, which has its own company. You have so many other companies as well. So, I mean, you could easily argue that in between Moscow and St. Petersburg, you have like 30 companies.
Is there any other country that has anything close to that? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Brazil's pretty crazy. Like the amount of...
Brazil is crazy.
Brazil is like, whoa.
I don't know if people realize, because we're so disconnected from South America and, and language barriers.
I think Argentina, Brazil, like there's just Uruguay. I've never been to a place like Brazil where they love ballet. Yeah, they love
ballet in Brazil. They love it in Argentina too. Like my business partner for my co-founder at Barchash, Lucas, dances at Sodre, which is the national company of Uruguay, which is a great company. But again, sort of removed, and I think people aren't super aware of like what's going on sort of south of the equator. But
a shame. Because there's so much happening.
So much. He told me that when, oh my gosh.
Julio Bocco?
Thank you. Julio Bocco. Names. Julio Bocco retired. He did a retirement performance on a stage like in the street in Buenos Aires. And it was something like 100,000 people filled block after block after block in the street. Yeah. To see a ballet dancer retire. Yeah. And Misty Copeland gets one night with an audience of 3,000 and an article in the Times, and that's it.
Misty Copeland is another brand. Like, we have to thank her for the popularization again of, I don't know, like,
but
that's
she gets a fraction of Julio Bocco. Like, even she's beloved and followed, but there's no closing down Broadway in New York for a street performance.
My argument, though, is like, have we moved that into the vacuum chamber of the internet?
Yes, we have. I accept your argument.
Because if you compare the numbers, like we think like, oh, I only got 1,000 views on that video. Yeah, imagine 1,000 people. So I don't know. Yeah, like I don't know. Like,
I think you're right.
You know,
I think you're right.
I think that we will, whether you agree with it or not, like she will go down in the history books because, again, it's like like PR strategy, marketing, talent, story.
Yeah, the narrative. Story is everything. Story is, as you know. So, there's so many.
We could go so many ways.
No, I know. I get frozen. I had this. I don't know what order the episodes are going to come in, so I won't spoil who the other guest is. But last week I felt the same. So, But let me actually just ask you about, because let's keep it with ballet where we are at the moment. So I was trained in what was basically Vaganova technique by Stas, Stanislav Isayev is his real name. Well, here's something we can explain too. Would you like to explain how names work in Russia? Because a lot of people won't know this.
Okay, so in Russia you have your name, and let's say Vladimir, and then you have your patronymic.
Yeah.
So let's say Vladimir, but then his father was named Ilya, so we're gonna call him Vladimir Ilyich, and then his last name is Isayev. Okay, so you have, if I'm the wife of Vladimir, I would be Madame Isayeva. Like you would add an A on the top of that. And if my father was named, let's say Dmitry, I would be Joy Dmitrieva Isayeva. So we're adding the A because of the female form on that.
And when you use the patronymic, it is formal.
It's like if I were going to call you Mr. Felice or Mrs. Womack or Mrs. Clay. Like that's the proper way to speak to somebody.
Yeah.
And unless you're invited to not speak to somebody like that, it's rude, especially if the person is older than you.
Yeah.
And in Russian, you have the two forms of speaking. You can say ты or вы.
Yeah.
So I can, hey, Luis, we're talking to each other, the T form. But if we were having this conversation in Russian and it was very formal, I would be speaking to you in a proper way. And I would be, Luis, what's your father's name?
Emil.
Luis Emilich. Like, what do you think about this? And like speaking in a,
Rather than say Mr. D. Felice, you use it too.
Yeah.
But then when you get super comfortable, you switch to
Sasha, Sashulia, like Natasha, Natashinka. Like my husband's name is Andrew, and I always joke his name is like Andrei, so I'm always calling him like Drushinka. Like there's so many ways
and you
that
would
you
be
can go.
Joyka.
Yeah, Joyka.
Which is the name of the film that was made about your life.
But also it's just kind of funny because my name Joy, that's just a very strange name. That's not a name in Russia. But there is like an old Russian name, which is Rada, which means joy.
Okay.
So like technically it could have been like Radishka, but like
Radishka.
they called me Joyka, like Joychka. And so then that's how the film got that name, is Joyka. Because,
that's cute.
Yeah.
And that's easy too. I mean, so when you spell it, you would spell it, because I learned to read and write in Russian. So you would spell it probably D, Zhia. I don't know what that word is called. Zhia. O, and then the E with the Ikratkaya. Yeah. Ikratkaya. Yeah. So it's interesting because they don't have the J sound, the hard J.
And it's so funny because like when you perform in Russia, especially at galas, like they always do the announcement of like who's performing next, and it'd be like laureat международных конкурсов Womack, Joy, Annabelle. And it just was so funny to me because it'd be like, like my partner was named Misha Martinuk, and be like Mikhail Martinuk, like and then it'd be like Womack,
Womack.
Because then there was this like odd thing that happened partway through my time there, the way they changed the law, like which letter you would use for the equivalent in Russian. So W used to be V in Russian, and then they changed it to U. So it used to be Womack.
Yeah.
Or it would be Womack. So then they changed it from Womack, and they just, and I feel like Womack was so like
that's interesting.
Awkward.
Yeah. Yeah, I slaved away at learning Cyrillic because my teacher was teaching. I mean, he was speaking to his wife, who's the pianist, Tatiana Milovanova, in Russian all the time. So I picked up a lot. And he would, Storno nazad, Storno vперед, nazad, молодец.
I think that's so funny that he would still speak to you in Russian, even though he was in the US.
I invited it, though, to be honest. I was also like, I've always loved languages. I speak Spanish with my girlfriend. But I was also like, oh, what am I going to be around Russian all the time without learning it? I might as well.
I think it's a cheat code, like to our listeners out there. Learn Russian, learn French, learn Spanish.
It's a cheat code, but specific
Italian.
To Russian, they will like you. They will
so much.
Really appreciate that you speak some Russian.
The French, it'll be like, oh, but the Russian, if you speak Russian.
No, I learned to be sort of charming in Russian as like an 18-year-old boy because it was like a way to like disarm teachers like Lobanova and like survive a little. If I could be cute and speak some Russian.
A little bit of Russian.
So what I meant to ask you about before I made you explain Russian nomenclature to our audience, but I think that's interesting, and it makes it's a nightmare to read Russian literature. Like if you read Tolstoy, the same character will have three names on a single page. So it'll say, oh, Alexander Goldenov is walking to the stores. And then Sasha said, and you're like, who's Sasha? When did he get here? And you have to sort of adjust to understanding the nomenclature. But I wanted to ask you about Vaganova technique because I learned it in theory, but I started ballet at 14. There was a lot of catching up. There was a lot of skipping steps. By the time I got to Kirov Academy, I was, quite far along in my training. And so I didn't have ground up Vaganova the way you more or less did. I guess
no,
not. Yeah, okay.
I was started on balancing technique.
Really?
So I was like
in California
with like tennis balls.
Yeah, okay.
And so for me to go into the Russian system was very challenging because I just wanted to express myself and do technique but I had missed that foundational.
Okay. So even you feel like you missed the foundational.
Yes, and that's why I'm fascinated by it now.
So what I'm going to ask you a dumb question, too big, but trying to find a way to ask me or answer me. But it's like, I couldn't really tell you what makes Vaganova technique. It's just what I was taught. I think it's what I was taught. It's basically what I feel to be right. I can recognize it, but I couldn't really tell you what, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't quite define it.
I mean, also you come for me in the comments, but what I would describe Vaganova technique is a system of creating coordination between the hand, the eyes, the upper body, and the back and the legs. That's logical. That creates a system for a dancer to be able to express their inner emotions.
It's hard for me when I hear that because I think a lot of people would say, well, we're coordinated too. Like, why is our coordination different?
Is this coordinated or that?
For me, that through the first.
Going through the center. Like, how are you going to do a jump? Are you going to do a jump this way? Right. Or are you going to do a jump here? Yeah. Yes, with choreography, do whatever you want. Does this look good or does...
Yeah.
Which one is more expressive?
Yeah.
So that's why I truly feel that if you want to start a dancer off right, put them in rhythmic gymnastics for the first 3 years.
Really?
Floor bar. Then Vaganova levels 1, 2, and 3. When it's level 4, let's add in some French technique with some soft ballet shoes. You start with the footwork. And then you can dance some balancing repertoire. Mm-hmm. But I think that the best base for a dancer is to have that Russian, hips over the toes way of teaching dance. And then I do think that, because like something that I noticed from being in Russia is like when I went into my class at age 15, I was the most technically advanced. And it is something that helped me jump to the top of my class. I was not afraid
of taking
risk. Because that came from the balancing technique. Of like, don't mark it, go full out, try, do 2 pirouettes.
And dance. Balancing technique is also about dance.
So I do think like that you have to add in that dancing, but I think you can do it in a Vaganova way. Like, I think that also is what is so fascinating about, we talk about Vaganova, but if you look at the schools of Bolshoi and Mariinsky, each of those schools have a higher education that's part of it. And you can go and pursue your doctoral studies and decide and have this really study the science of teaching. What is pedagogy? How do you teach? And so depending on what teacher you go to in that school, each person has their own philosophy. And so they're building on that literature. It's like, it's so easy to say, oh, I study Vaganova technique, but there's so many different ways. Yeah. It's like, is it Vaganova after Tarasov? Is it Vaganova after Pestov? Is it Vaganova after Bro? There's every single teacher's writing, leaving a legacy, which is such a difference than we have for Balanchine and for French technique in particular. They don't have like a codified system of somebody like, here's the, with the famous book, 100 Lessons in Classical Ballet, you can go and read those lessons. It's like in the French technique, and you can come for me again in the comments because I've only lived in France for 3 years, but I'm also fascinated with that technique. It's very much like, I'm going to orally pass this down to you.
Yeah.
Whereas in Russia, it's very much encouraged, write your thesis. What is the exploration that you're doing in the class? Like, even after teachers have gotten their PhD, it's like they will invite other teachers to watch your class and to have notes on it. It's like, almost like you're doing a scientific experiment and furthering the exploration of the technique.
That's actually not what that's super interesting. I wouldn't have seen that answer coming in the sort of the additive thing of each generation of teachers putting down
on paper and inside of their students. Because then when you look inside of a Russian ballet company in comparative to a French company, European company, American company, what is the way that they're forming their dancers? You have the director, you have the intendant, the guy who's the head of that. Then you have 10 ballet teachers, and each one of those teachers has their individual student.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those teachers are keeping tabs on the corps de ballet soloist principals.
Yeah.
And they're having their own class in the morning. Like
Yeah.
if you take Bolshoi class, you have 6 classes in the morning.
Really?
Yeah. You have 3 at 10 and 3 at 11. And
Is
those
that because
are
the company's that big?
the
Or
company
and
is
that gives
big,
all
but
the
it's
teachers a chance also to teach?
each teacher has their own philosophy of how you need to get warm. And you have people who follow the tradition of Esaf Messerer, who was a genius but his technique was like, how do I get a dancer warm and ready? He's not teaching somebody who's 16 who needs to learn how to do an entrelaissé.
Do they pick which of the 6 they take?
You can pick as a dancer, but if, for example, let's say my teacher when I went into the company was a wonderful woman, Kondratova. She was formed in
She's old,
I mean,
right?
she passed away.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But she was formed in in Leningrad, but the Kirov tradition. So she had a very different way of teaching than, let's say, somebody else, Grachova, who was a Bolshoi ballerina. Then you have Tiskaridze, who has his own own philosophy.
And he's made this fascinating jump to like widespread recognition. And there's a lot of Tiskaridzes. I mean,
his students,
yeah. There's a lot of his students out there, but there's also other figures like him who have not captured people's imagination as much or have not published as many videos. I don't quite know what it is.
It's Tiskaridze is to Misty Copeland.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
I
like
get that. Yeah.
Like, as we would say in Russian, надо уметь себе продавать. Like you have to be able to sell yourself.
Yeah. You do. Also,
most of like we think of like Maxim Vasilyev. You can see people in that generation who are maybe better or even it's like, but who was great about selling themselves or to the public.
Yeah.
And you can argue whether that's right or wrong.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, those are the figures that are pushing the art form forward because they're the person that the taxi driver on the street knows their name.
Yeah. I think, and that's two thoughts here. One, that's one of the amazing things about Russians is that, I mean, there's a famous quote that's something along the lines of the bus drivers read Pushkin, but they know their art and literature in a way that I've frankly not found maybe in any other country. I mean, I was buying, okay, so long story short, I'm buying a mattress for a friend way out in middle of nowhere, but New York, Queens, but nowhere special, right? And I'm buying the mattress and talking to the lady and she's got a Russian accent. And I say, where are you from? And she kind of gets on guard because, don't want to put her on the spot. And she said, where do you think? And then I said in Russian, I think you're probably Russian. And then she's surprised I speak Russian. So we talk a little bit and she knows Tiskaritsia. She knows who he is. And she has favorite dancers. And she has thoughts on ABT. And she's and I don't mean this in a mean way, she is a mattress saleswoman at a mattress firm in Queens, New York. But she had opinions on Tiskaritsia that I was like, that I think I would have to find. I think 1 in 100 American kids would even know who he is at all, if it weren't for maybe seeing a viral video of him recently or something like that. You brought up Maximova. We've both talked about Vladimir Vasilyev. I think you'd have to ask 1,000 American students to get one who says that they know who Yekaterina Maximova is. Yeah. Who I know because she was a partner of my teacher for a long time. But yeah, the depth, that's what we miss when you say Kirov leaves the black hole, is there is a depth of like ballet knowledge that, that the Russians and French and, people take seriously. But to find that in the U.S. is not the same.
I think we have a big problem, which is we have an education problem.
Yeah, totally.
We are consumers. Yeah. We are not creators. Yeah. And I think that we can fault that to whether we invest in education of young people or we invest in creating people who are going to consume.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the great things, I mean, this is quite controversial, but communism produces great art.
Would you like to say more?
Well, I mean, I think because you have a system that's oppressive, but then you obviously have the people who are resistant to that oppression who want to create. But it's also, you have a democratization of access to the arts, or where you say, I mean, I'm not for communism. I'm just saying that even, because of the Cold War, you had almost this culture war between the two countries. It was like, who's going to create the best artists? Now it's like, okay, well, who are we going to create that's the best AI scientists? So that's great. Like we need AI, we need technical and technological advancements. But I think that in the past 20 years, we have defunded our schools. We've defunded any incentive to want to be a well-educated let's go to a museum or no, let's go and buy this thing off of Amazon. I mean, be careful. have to be careful what I'm saying, but I think that it's also a question of how we raise we raise the next generation. Are you going to invest in the PlayStation, or are you going to invest in buying 5 tickets to different shows the next 5 months? Like, what are your values that you're trying to instill in the next generation?
And then on top of that, even if you can get people in those places, helping them to understand what they're seeing is another challenge on top.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to get people out, and then it's another for them to have to create a deep appreciation. What you said communism creates good art. I think you could also flip it and say what you started to say, which is democratization. The arts can suffer because. I mean, my teacher used to say a lot. He would say, "There's nothing wrong with elite. There's nothing wrong with being elite," and he meant that in the sense of like if there's merit to it. Like there's nothing wrong with pursuing an elite art form and trying to do it at an elite level. That's the whole game. That's what we're here for. And I can ground this in an example, which is when I was dancing in Montreal. There was a guy. He was young. He was a good bit younger than me, and he was talented, like big jump, flexible, fluid, and he had a lot of technical problems. And he was doing Tambay Par Glissade Soda Shah. What do you call Soda Shah, by the way? You call it jeté or Soda Shah?
Grand Pas de Chat, if you're doing like the Russian
Grand Pas de
technique.
Chat, okay.
If you do French, it's something different.
So he's doing Tambay Par Glissade, Grand Pas de Chat, and his head is going up and down as he does it. Like it's like that, and his arms are passing what you and I would consider the allowed level. And I said, "Hey, you don't do that." Basically, I tried to give him the advice. I said, "Tame all that down. You look where you're going. You look where at your public, or you have some trajectory of where you're going to look, and you present. There's what you're doing is there's references you need to make here. Your gestures mean something. It's not just all up and down." And he said. Basically, he said, "I don't need that advice. I prefer to be more to express myself and be individualistic." And I just thought, I mean, okay, have good luck with that, of course, but that's not, you're not expressing anything actually, because the step has given you a chance to express something. The step has given you a chance to say, to this part of the theater, to this part of the theater, I'm going this way. Now I look at the middle of the theater. You have a chance there to say something. Now, actually, what he has said is nothing. He has said, "I don't care about any of that," and he hasn't expressed. So, this is a kid. He's like 19 or something. Like I'm not shitting on this guy. But just to give an example of like that's taste, and taste. That's what the education hopefully would achieve, is to give people a sense of taste and a more profound understanding of like these are what these steps. There's a reason behind the stuff that we're doing.
Dare I say that we have an etiquette problem? Or is that going to create too much?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like we're not allowed to say that. We're not allowed to say that right now. Like, and that's where come for me again in the comments, if you will.
Come for her, not for me.
Please do
I'm
it.
a nice
like
guy.
it increases the engagement of the video. But it's like when you say that everything is allowed, then you say,
nothing
I'm
matters.
not going to value something that's, again, we're like, oh, well, everybody can be everything and everything can be everything. Then what's the point of studying anything? And what's the point of excellence? Like, we have lost the pursuit of excellence. And by saying, I want to be a classical ballerina or classical dancer, saying, I want to pursue something excellent. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's like, then there is a right way and there is a wrong way.
Yeah. This is a very Russian opinion. I've heard this, and I agree with I agree with you.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, actually, I fully agree. But I've heard that and similarly framed opinions from people who went to Russian conservatory at 11 and did 9 years of deep, deep through and through stuff. Let me frame you a question this way, because this will make for a good little clip / segue. What are the basic etiquette things for ballet class?
Okay.
That you would recognize, that I would recognize.
What are the basic etiquette? I think it's important to say hello to the people that when you walk into the studio.
To the dancers.
I think it's important as a teacher, or also if I'm a company member, I say hello. Okay. I don't just walk past and do my thing. Kindness, being chivalrous. So what does that mean? Like women and men have different places in the classroom. I think that there's You don't turn your back to the teacher. You give space for the teacher to be able to show the combination. You know your spatial awareness. You know how to, if somebody, for example, if you're in a company class, like you don't stand in somebody's spot if they've been there for years. You ask, hey, I'm here, I'm new. Can I please, is there a free spot for me to be? I mean, that difference. There's some places where it's like it's a free for all. If whoever gets there earliest is whoever is there. I think that if you don't know the combination, don't go in the first group. If you're not confident and if it takes you a bit more time, go in the second group. I think if you're going across the floor, let everyone go across the floor once before you repeat the combination.
For sure.
I think it's important to say thank you to the pianist and thank you to the teacher afterwards. Am I missing any? Maybe we ask each other questions.
I'm trying to think of what you missed. I mean, I can go super simple, but always turn toward the bar, never away.
Yeah.
And then a big one that I have certainly given up on now, but is stand on the side, not in the back.
Yes.
So that the teacher can, but that really is more conservatory, I suppose, but so that the teacher can see just the students in the wall and they don't see you.
I think that's when we often forget as professionals.
Yeah. And also, I mean, company life is, I mean, it's not supposed to be that you carry on all the stuff from, but I still, I mean, I maintain, I certainly don't go first across the floor. I tend to hang back with the guys, although that seems to be going away somewhat. And a lot of the times I end up going because there's a lot of nervousness, even in open classes and even
People
in company life.
Yeah.
You've got like girls standing in the corner that are just not wanting to go because they're just nervous. And I mean, I don't know.
I think in general, if it's big jumps, guys should go with guys because there's different tempos. Unless you're a girl who's like wanting to work on
different spatial awareness.
Yeah. I think that sometimes, like whether you're trying to or not, and sometimes I jump with the guys, but I know one of the teachers I take was in Paris, like that pisses him off. He does not like that because the pianist is supposed to play.
He doesn't like when
tempo.
you jump with the guys.
Yeah, it's
but
like,
you're doing it to push to a slower tempo,
or it's because somebody I haven't gone. But in general, I think also know the teacher's preferences.
Yeah.
And I think there's nothing wrong with asking that. I think that in general, give the girls a chance to go in the front line. If there's nobody who wants, like, please, by all means, go in the front line. I just think that that's generous to offer that, even if it's not.
I find no one wants to go in the front line.
Yeah.
It's so funny to me, but I am in the room. I work with the mirror. Me and the mirror. We're working together.
Yeah.
I need to see how bad I am. And I so often just am like, I'm standing there kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Music starts to play. Nobody really moves forward. And I'm like, and I scoot up to the front because I'm like, well, I'll take the mirror spot if nobody wants to be up there.
I think that is perfectly fine. It's free game. If nobody wants to take it, go for it. I think it's kind to ask.
I'm surprised that nobody wants to be up there. It's funny to me.
That's very interesting. I wonder, also, again, this is a personal etiquette rule, but it's like you have come to class to better yourself.
Yeah, for this. Yeah.
Especially if you're paying for it. Take your warm-ups off, look at yourself in the mirror, unless you're dealing with an injury, unless it's like frigid or it's like come there to work. I also do not like to stand in the back because it's like if I'm paying 20 euros or 20 pounds to be in class, it's like, oh, no, I'm going to use that time. Or if I'm doing a class by myself, it's like I want to use the mirror. I want to see what's happening. Or I want the attention of the teacher because I'm paying for that person's, not attention, oh, look at me. No, please tell me what I'm doing wrong. Yeah. Oh, I guess another etiquette thing is if a teacher gives you the correction, apply the correction and don't be offended.
Oh, God, no. I mean,
I mean, there's a lot of people I know who it's like, oh, did you see that?
I'm
like,
upset.
He told me this.
Please give me a correction. I'm frustrated when I have teachers who don't.
I think we're losing that respect for to go back to what we were talking about beforehand. It's like, even if you're not 100% on board with whatever that person is preparing or teaching, it's like I've been on both sides. It's like it's so easy to criticize. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. Treat other people as you would want to be treated, and you'll have a better reputation. Like people want to be around you. When you BITCH all the time, like I see that over all the companies I work with, nobody's 100% satisfied. It's like if you are trying to be your personal best, if you're trying to wait for the environment to be 100% perfect before you bring your best, you're always going to be annoyed, upset. It's like, bring the light. You be the source of positivity, but focus on yourself. Like our ballet culture is quite individual. It's like, remember to focus on yourself, bring the best that you can every day. You only realize it when you get to the end or if you are facing an injury, but we only have so much time in this incredible like art form. And some of us have taken a different path to get there. And each time in the studio, each time on stage is more precious than the last. So are you going to have a career of 10 years of BITC aging, or are you going to have 10 years of feeling personally fulfilled because you did your best every day?
Yeah. The complaining is it's such a trap, and I fall into it easily, and we all do. But it's also it's an easy trap to fall into at every level. And I've hung out with, principals of the Royal Ballet, and I've hung out with apprentices of a middle of nowhere company in the U.S. and and everyone in between, and we all have complaints. And I think also that's you're blowing off steam because it's such a taxing career, but it's a trap to live in that and to sit in that and to always find a reason.
Thing. It's like the more people that are complaining, the more you're going to complain. It's that classic thing that we know from kindergarten. It's like if there's a bad apple in the group, all of the apples turn bad. It's like, are you the source of negativity? Are you the source of positivity?
When I was a kid, he called that the trouble bubble. He was like, stay outside of the trouble bubble.
But it's again going back to that conversation that we had about etiquette and about education. It's like, so often it's so easy to criticize the people around us, but how often are we looking at our own actions and what are the consequences of our own choices? And that's something I've done recently because I'm the first to raise my hand. When I was young, I was so naive, and you almost start in this career in an ideal way of like, if I'm good, I will be chosen, which that is not the case most of the time. So what are you going to do about that? And there's so often times I wish I could go back and say to my younger self, like, are you going to be upset about that? Or are you going to, like, there were different choices in my career. It's like if I had been able to give that advice to myself in that space, would I have made a different choice? And we can never know. And I'm so happy for every path that I went down. But this is something I'm trying to apply to my life now. It's like when I'm so eager to complain or point out the fault in this, that, or the other, where is something that I could improve my own attitude or my own approach.
And we get that from each other too. And that's the hard thing is I think when you get older, you become less influenced by your peers, and you get a stronger independent individual compass. But you definitely pick that stuff up from the culture of the companies that you're in. I mean, here and there, I've actually been too mature in moments and had people sort of encourage me to be like I think about a time that I fell on stage. It was the same week. One time that week I fell, but the other time I was doing the Chinese dance and divertisement in the Nutcracker, and they gave me these long ribbons on a stick that I had to dance with, and they were long, like 10 feet or something. I mean, they were so long, like really these way taller than me, and I have to do them in the air and make these big circles with them or whatever. And so one of them catches. I think actually they both caught on my ankles behind me.
Oh no.
And as I did the jump, they just got around and around and around me, and went terrible and got off stage. But that was one of those things where I was not down on myself. I was down on the ribbons. I was like, fuck these ribbons, like, and I had rehearsed it well a bunch of times. I had performed it well a bunch of times. And so I didn't sit around being like, I didn't feel bad about myself. But I talked to somebody in the company later who kind of made me feel like I should be down. Like, oh, you shouldn't have a good night tonight. Your show went badly. Like I could feel this pressure to be like this perfectionist or this depressive type of like, oh, one of my 3 chances this week to do the divertisement went wrong, and the ribbons and this, that, and I should apologize to my director. Like there was this sort of pressure. And I remember just being like, I don't feel that way actually. Yeah. I feel like this was a fluke. The ribbons fucked me up, and I'm going to go home and have a beer and watch a movie, and I'm not going to sit around and concern myself with this. Yeah.
I think that there's oftentimes, especially in a company environment, there's people who haven't worked on themselves, or there's like a culture of immaturity, and it's very easy to think like, oh, I'm going to pass that down to the next generation. So good for you for not taking that on.
Yeah.
But it's really important. And if I could give it advice to anybody who's listening to this podcast, it's like, don't take the temperature of the room and make that your own internal temperature.
That's good. That's a good way to put that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I have 2 specific technique questions. One is, I asked Joseph this when he was here as well. So when you do glissade assemblée, what port de bras do you use?
Glissade assemblée. Wait, I have to do it.
If it's in petit allegro, not grande. Like from fifth to fifth, glissade assemblée.
I think my arms are down. I don't know. It depends.
Keep them down.
It depends on what the teacher shows, honestly.
Yeah, a lot of teachers don't show a lot. A lot of teachers don't show the arms.
It depends because the teacher that I take with in France is very particular. So it's like I watch him like a hawk.
Who do you take with there?
Jean-Marie Didier.
Oh yeah, I've taken his
He's
class.
amazing.
In
But
that
you have to watch.
harmonic, is it called? That studio?
No, in City Varon.
Oh yeah, I've confused them. Yeah,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the sort of circular
Yes,
windows and stuff.
and
yeah.
it's raked.
And it's raked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we've taken class there together.
Yeah.
So how are you taught then?
You go through first. Or it's like, if it's Vaganova, it's...
Vaganova is that sort of thing, yeah.
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 My pet peeve is the Balanchine way. I hate it.
Where it's like this, it's first
They
and
go
then open.
up, they
no, I
swing
don't
up
like.
and then they swing out.
Oh, no, I don't like
And
that.
to me, it's open
Yeah.
and close. Like as the feet close,
Yeah.
the arms close.
I think that's...
Or they scoop up to first. For petit allegro, I would never really pass through the first because it wouldn't be enough time.
It depends on what you're trying to do. It's about the feet too, and it's either you go through the center line.
Yeah.
But my rule of thumb is like use your center line. Like, what do you mean by that? Like cross your center, because out here you don't have a connection to your back and to your shoulder blades, and you need that connection because if not, you're jumping like this, and you need like think about the last 4 vertebrae. If that's doing that in your jump, which it does often for me, that's why I think about it. It's like keep that as what is like.
Yeah.
You have to keep that straight, and then you have to keep your core. Like I had Kondratiev was actually the person who told this to me. It's like imagine like you have a golden ball inside of your rib cage. Don't let it go, but don't crush it. Keep it lifted.
That's good.
And then
I love those images.
Yeah, think about, or you could think about you have 2 diamonds, right? You have 2 diamonds here and on your back, and make sure that they stay diamonds. And you have a touch point, and you have a little line between them. So like diamond. That
Yeah. That's
is
funny.
for something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the tuberculosis laugh. Here, I'll join you in hitting the waist
Classic
there.
ballerina.
I love those images. Some teachers are so good at creating those. Yeah, I mean, to me, the glissade assemblée thing is, I think of it as a Vaganova logic, which is arms and legs basically move together in Vaganova. They mirror each other to be super simplistic about it. So I always do. And there's this guy I dance with, Rin, and I love watching him do glissade assemblée. Like it's just like scratches an itch in my brain.
Like, oh, that's correct.
Because he opens he's all square and his legs open and his arms open.
Yeah.
And then in the air, he sort of has this minute of float, and then as the legs come together, his arms come together, and then he's ready to open again.
It's like almost like giving.
It's giving, and to me that is that's just the quote unquote correct coordination.
Another correction. Think about this next time you do petit allegro. This is something that's helping me so much with my battery. Is instead of thinking about the foot that's going as the one that's turned out, think about the foot that's coming. So if you're going to do an entre-saucisse,
I need that.
Don't
correction.
think about this foot doing it. Think about the other one.
And I would think about this even in glissade assemblée.
Yes.
The closing, the second
Instead of being
leg.
like, think about, and of course here we are talking with our hands. This is so ballet of us to be like marking with our hands.
Well, hopefully the people watching, I think, will follow the sign language.
But like, think about glissade assemblée and assemblée. Because again, like also this is something for French technique. Because like Russian technique, when you're jumping, the accent is up. And in French technique, the accent is down.
Yeah.
And that was a game changer for me because sometimes in Russian petit allegro, it's like very labored. But it's because we're warming up, right? We're getting in our jump.
It's the one thing it's the one thing I never learned well and continue to be bad at, period.
You won't be bad at it if you think about the accent down and you think about the opposite foot.
I think the opposite. I suspect that's actually going to help me a lot. I'm going to try that tomorrow.
Like da 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 da, and think of like da 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 da. Think of da 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 da.
Yeah.
Like
and
da 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 da. Like instead of think of down and because your petit allegro is not a high jump.
Yeah.
It's a jump down.
I've just never gotten it right, basically.
But it's because if you are trained Vaganova, you were not trained that coordination.
No.
But we love Vaganova. It's just, it like with the Vaganova coordination, if you think down, you'll be unstoppable.
I'm going to text you tomorrow.
Okay, let me know
how it goes.
Yeah.
then the second piece, the second just specific one is I see people at bar lately. I just noticed it all of a sudden. But you start facing the bar in I'd say most classes these days, and so imagine you do tendu back facing the bar.
Yes.
I would look. So let's say tendu back with my right leg. I would look right, as if I was at the bar with my left hand normal. So I would look epama sort of, I
Okay,
would
wait.
tendu back.
Tendu. Okay, hold on. So we
Sorry.
are tendu right leg.
Tendu
You would
right
look
leg back.
this way.
I would look right. But I see a lot of people at bar looking
That's
in.
French. Looking the other way.
Looking the other way is French. That's what that is.
That's what that is.
Which seems to me, why would you?
For example, like grand round jamale, like
Yeah.
the Russian technique, we look out. They look the opposite way of the leg.
I would say we never look the opposite way in Russian technique. Is there ever a time at bar that we would look into the bar? I mean, maybe in
This,
plie.
like,
or,
if you're doing like one of those things. No, I don't think so.
but we
it's
would
a
never.
French.
And like when
it's
we
a
close
French
back,
way.
we don't look left.
Yeah.
We,
Like that's
we go
very
bum,
French.
bum,
But
bum.
there's like a connection of the nerves because I'm here, I'm thinking about crossing. Because sometimes,
It would help you with
especially
that,
like
yeah.
30 plus 30 plus
30
community.
plus 1, right?
30 plus like life, it gets
Yeah.
harder with the back. So what
Yeah.
you see a lot of times in like Russian companies where people are doing like shows every day is the leg starts to not cross enough.
Right.
In the rond de
Yeah, I
jambes.
do see that. Yeah.
And the French way is thinking about the heel.
So you would see that as a helpful thing. Face
I
the
feel
bar,
like
look the
sometimes
other
it
way.
helps you to
Yeah.
think about the cross. But if I were teaching somebody, I would think this. Because also I feel like this is very 1830s. Like, let's do Bournonville.
Yeah.
And that is a bit more contemporary. Like something
yeah.
that I like from Balanchine is like thinking about the cheekbone. Like, what am I saying this way and what am I saying that way with this?
Yeah, that's a good thing to
Because
pick
we
up.
also have a lot in Russians like talking about your soul. Or like where we would think like, okay, this is my solar plexus. There's a lot of like thought in Russian techniques, like that's where you're projecting your soul. So how, like where the French technique is very neutral, keep this quite down, the Russian. And the French is a bit more natural, but there's a lot of talk, like you, especially in the female Vaganova technique, there's a lot, which
It's
some people would
I
say.
don't want to say decorative, but it is, I don't know, expressive. I don't quite know the word.
It's for the under, it's not the
Yeah.
lower back, it's for the upper back flexibility.
Yeah. I guess you could just call that epama. I don't know. There's got to be a word for
There's
it. But the
different
rest,
kinds of, yeah.
But that presentation is I mean, I love
Because you think
watching
about
it.
like the élanger, because you can do élanger or you
Right.
can do élanger.
Yeah.
And like there's quite a lot of the chin. Like when I'm working with students, I talk about like the fingernail. It's like I'm looking at the outside of my fingernail, I'm looking at the inside of my fingernail, and that there's like a string connected to my chin,
Yeah.
and my nose, and my eyes. And there's so much that I can say with that, versus
Yeah.
so where my chin goes, that's where my head goes. Where my chin, my eye, and that's also like how I can say something to you. Like I can say, you know, if
You
we
say-
take
yeah.
if we take the mise en scène of Giselle, for example, it's like there's a lot of things that are happening here, but that comes from at the bar. First, I'm going through my head because if I'm not connected with this is my word, these are my words. And that's something that Maximova used to say to my coach, who then gave that to me. It's like, pass your finger. There's something. It's almost spiritual. You can almost get into the spiritual because it's like, how am I communicating with you?
Who is this coach? Just to-
Zhana Vladimirovna Bogorodiska, she was the first student of Ekaterina Maximova, who was a student of Ulanova. Ulanova was the teacher of Vaganova.
Of Vaganova, yeah.
And Vaganova was a student of Cicchetti, who was a student. It's like,
Yeah. Vaganova was a student of Cicchetti.
Mm-hmm.
I think I might have had that wrong in my head. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like tracing these lines. Like, and I found it interesting with me. The coach who I've found to be the absolute best for me is Andrei Vasiliev, who danced, who studied at Perm originally. And that's
wait.
You,
Oh
do
my
you know
God.
Andrei? Yeah.
Yes. I have some crazy stories about him.
I believe it. We will leave him alone in this
Oh
episode. Maybe,
my
but,
God.
He's a phenomenal. He's a character, and he's a phenomenal coach. But and I think it's no coincidence though that I work well with him because he's from the same school as my original teacher Stas, and I think so they both developed their methods of teaching from Perm, another Russian school. And so I think it makes sense to me that the two people I've worked most closely, like most intimately with from a technique perspective, have come from the same school.
Be careful because anyway, when you put the weight of your body behind your torso, it's very hard to have control because you lose the connection with your abs.
Yeah, I agree.
And you need the power center. So take all of that's being given to you and then just place your body a bit more
Stas was
forward.
the number one correction he gave me forever was he was always saying you should feel like there's this sort of like you're not pressing forward with your chest, but that you're sort of
be careful.
Yeah, just a slight 5% sort of lean forward. Yeah.
Over your legs, because what happens is that like rib cage is going to get in the way of your activation from your glutes, because where you're getting your power from, you're getting your power from your glutes.
Yeah, from your biggest
muscle. So if
muscle,
you're behind that, then you're not actually using your power, your core, to have propulsion to get up. Because like what happens when you focus on that extension or that beautiful exaggerated vaginal line is you miss where it's all coming from.
Yeah.
So that's my only like, I'm
that
like,
could,
yes,
that,
but.
That could be true. I'll leave that there.
Yeah.
Let's do our 10 questions.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We, I will say, have touched 10% of what's on the paper.
I mean, it's this like to be continued.
So, okay. At some point, I'll read my paper because there's a few things in there that I would lament not getting to or be remiss not to include. So, but we're just gonna sort of fly through 10 questions, which
I'll
I ask
try to
everybody.
be brief as I answer them.
Yeah. So far, no, we've failed on that every time, and so if we fail, it's okay too. Pre-show song, warm-up song.
Okay, I can go two ways.
Okay.
One is I love Bethel music or elevation music, like 'cause that's connected to my faith.
Okay.
And so that's like, for me, I really feel like performing.
worship music.
Worship music, yeah. Just like I like to prepare myself.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm scared, sometimes I'm not. Like that just really helps me settle. Other way is like something like deep French house music.
Okay.
Like
Yeah, the other
very
one.
much the opposite. Like my tastes are crazy.
Okay.
Or it's like whatever is like poppy peppy. Like, you know, let's have a fun girly pop moment. But yeah.
Do you like Olivia Dean? I'm crazy about her. Have you heard the song "Talk to Me"?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, anyway.
Yeah.
I'll include that in tomorrow's text.
Yeah.
But that's like would be poppy peppy.
Yeah.
But good. Do you like, or this is not on the list, but we'll call this 1.5. Do you like Southern gospel music, like sort of folk, like sort of traditional songs?
No,
or
like very much like basking in the presence, like just a moment of like prayer. So like the songs will sometimes be like 7 to 9 minutes, and it's like literally just something I have on in the back. Yeah.
I play the banjo.
Okay, love that. Yeah.
And I would say most of the banjo music I've learned and played is like Southern gospel. So like Ralph Stanley and
that's beautiful.
And old like traditionals and Alison Krauss and things like that. Magic dancewear item, something that you just always dance well when you wear it.
A really, really well designed, beautiful leotard.
Any examples of that?
Certain companies are big fans of.
Okay.
Okay, when I first put on a Delalo leotard, like, holy crap, I felt like a princess.
Okay.
Cloud and Victory, I've been a huge supporter and fan for them from the beginning, and they just released this like compressive leotard. Actable in Germany has just created this bodysuit that's like stunning. And then my ultimate dream is to design the ultimate perfect black leotard.
We should talk. I don't know if you know, but I have this clothing company.
Oh, interesting.
That's okay. Yeah, very good. I'll leave that. Post-show meal.
Red curry, Thai coconut curry. Love it. Could eat it any day of the week.
Good answer. Dream choreography. If you've already done it, then congratulations. But what is it? If you haven't done it yet, what it would be?
John Krinko.
Okay. Have you done it?
No. That's my dream.
You haven't?
No, I would like.
That surprises me.
I would
Someone's got to put you in it. Yeah.
I would die to dance that.
Yeah.
Like, put me through the ringer. Put me in, coach.
Put me in, coach. Take you off the bench. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I feel also that you would be great at that. Personally, I would watch. I'd watch. Person who made you dream. I think that means someone where you were like, oh yeah, I want to be a ballet dancer, thanks to X.
One, my grandmother. She was beautiful. Like she she was a lawyer, but she always loved beautiful things. So she took me to the theater, and I remember just seeing that. And then, like, out of dancers, like, I absolutely am obsessed, love, and worship at the temple of Natalia Yosifova.
Okay.
To
Me
this
too.
day.
Yeah.
Like, I love everything and anything she does. Because I think that she's like, she doesn't care what anybody thinks.
Yeah.
She loves dance.
Good.
She doesn't, like, you think this about me? Whatever. I don't care. I'm just going to go out there. I'm going to change the choreography. Sure, whatever. But I'm going to dance.
Yeah. And she's got the, I was gonna say got the goods, but she can.
She can do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
She's like prima ballerina assoluta to me.
Yeah. I saw her in the, I was waiting for the elevator at the Royal Opera House, and like maybe a few weeks ago, or no, a couple months ago now. And she walked by, and I just bowed to her, like without thinking. I
Of
just
course.
like gave a
Why
bow.
not? She's the queen. The other person that I would like bow at the temple of, I work with a coach in France. His name is Jean Guimbach, and he
Okay.
was the principal of Paris Opera. And he had this funny thing I'll never forget. I was like, one of my first classes at Paris Opera. He was like, Sylvie Guillaume is the Bible of dance. The person who I would describe as the Bible of dance is Marianela Nunes. I watch her because she's just such an example of like, this is how you should do ballet.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I saw her last night, yesterday at I saw her do the dress rehearsal of Nutcracker at Royal, and I'll say this. So it was her and Vadim, and in some ways, and I mean this sort of ironically, it was a bit of a letdown because it was so textbook perfect, and I was like, no, this looks like a film. I watched it. It could not have, and I'm saying it could not have been better. And I was like, oh yeah, they can't even surprise me because I've watched them so much be perfect so much that then I see them and they're perfect, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I.
Two things.
It was so good.
Like, one, I would pay any money to watch how she does class and do rehearsal just because like I'm fascinated by the science behind of it, and I want to be her student. You know what I mean? Vadim, I've danced with him before.
Oh, no way.
Like everything is just there.
Yeah. His jeté, he did manège yesterday in the variation, and he just puts one leg out and then the other one follows it like in this perfect 180-degree line. And just so, it's just, you look at it and you go, yeah, that's the jeté.
But those two dancers are such examples of this is what it means to work hard and be dedicated to your craft.
Yeah. And they do. Yeah, I've taken class with Marinella one single time, and it was very hard to act normal. But I did my best. Person who made your dream. A debut moment of yours, gosh, you have a lot to choose from. What was a moment where you went, holy shit, I'm really doing the thing. I'm living.
Paquita and Bolshoi stage. When I danced with the Paris Opera, I was like, what the heck? That's crazy. How does a girl from, nowhere? Giselle. Like the first time I danced Giselle, that was like really, really special. And then like, again, dancing with like somebody like Vadim or Xander Parrish or like people who I loved and looked up to, and like getting to like one of the galas I did this summer, there was like a whole bunch of dancers from like I was just like, wait, why am I in this room? Like huge imposter syndrome. But
I'm just remembering because you said the Sylvie Guillaume is the Bible. That Andre talks like that about her. He just absolutely thinks she's the end all be all of ballet. Like he's like she's the example of a ballerina for him.
But she's like naturally born that way.
Yeah, I mean at some level you got to be
smart. Yeah, like that's like when I think of Svetlana Zaharova. I mean, obviously amazing, beautiful ballerina, but it's like you also have feet and legs like that. You know what I mean? That's why I'm like when I think of Mariana Nunes. Or somebody like Natalia Yosifova who maybe like didn't have you know what I mean? But like you see how they dance. I'm like, that is very inspiring to me.
Yeah.
But that's also because I don't have the best turnout or the best legs and feet or the best whatever. It's like I don't want to hesitate to use the word more inspired, but like that seems like, oh, look at their work ethic and look at what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know
what I
mean?
feel they've overcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
People compliment my feet, and it doesn't mean much to me because I just was born with them that way. So it's not something I earned, and it's just not a meaningful compliment when I get it. I mean, don't stop, but I don't need it necessarily. Non-ballet profession. Today you stopped dancing. What would be your profession?
I think I would have loved to be an intelligence officer just because I love languages. I love international culture. Yeah. Like I think that would have been fascinating.
It's very Cold War of you. Like wow,
I don't know, but and then like international business or law, like patent law.
Patent law. That's specific.
Yeah.
Okay. Any reason patent law?
I think that it's fascinating to protect an idea of somebody's, and then I think I am fascinated by by people who are able to invent something out of nothing.
Yeah. My grandfather always claimed that he invented the mailbox that opens on both ends, so you don't have to stand in the street when you open it. So, anyway, hobbies. You do anything outside of ballet?
I do a lot of things outside of ballet.
Give me a non-ballet hobby that you have.
I love to cook.
Okay.
Like I love to create meals, host events.
Okay.
Create community. I like to ride horses.
Really?
I love photography and videography.
What camera do you take photos with?
Fuji X100V.
Wow.
6. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. Give me one pirouette tip.
You have to make sure that you are on the transferring weight is very important. So you need to make sure that that your center of gravity is right over where you need. So many people, especially with hyperextended legs, are either behind their legs, off their legs, is find that position. Then you need to use your left side. And you need to make sure, like a lot of people turn like this. It's like if you have a lifted, engaged elbow, your back is engaged.
The left side is key. That's the biggest one for me has been that in my in my time. If you could change one thing about the ballet world, what would it be?
I'd like to see more ballet companies because I think that today we have created a huge economy for private ballet schools. So we have this surplus of talent and we don't have enough opportunities for dancers to perform. So making ballet performances accessible and popular for audience members would create more demand, which would help a lot of the problems that we have today in our current economy.
That's extremely articulate, and that's a great answer. Nice. I agree. What's it like having to make a movie about your life? You just like feel like a rock star when that happens? You sit in the theater, you see an actress pretending to be you. Like, what's that?
That was surreal. Like,
weird,
I still
right?
don't even, I think I've just like blacked that out.
Yeah.
That exists.
Is it an honor? Is it like, are you
I'm very grateful for
Yeah.
it. I think that that's really special. And it was really fun to work on the movie because I got to do the choreography.
Did you dance?
I did some of the doubling,
Okay.
not all of it, but I actually do really enjoy creating choreography for screen. Now that I've been on Étoile and had that movie, like I'm fascinated by that choreography in Hollywood. Like I would very much love to do that call me. But
yeah, you very well could.
I love that. I like collaboration between art forms. So the like juxtaposition of photography, cinematography, classical art. Like I love an ideal performance to me. This is one of the reasons I'm creating a company in Paris is I want to see classical musicians, somebody creating a piece, literally commissioned an art piece, 4-piece, working with the costume designer and create the choreography for a show. I think that that's beautiful. And then how do we market it, sell it, create content around it? I don't know. I love the creative aspect of doing this.
And the missing art form because you've hit the costume design, the scenography, the marketing, the video. You didn't mention storytelling, which brings me also to writing and literature. So you've co-written a book with the help of a journalist about your life behind the velvet curtain. Behind the velvet curtain.
Behind the red velvet curtain.
Behind the red velvet curtain.
By Elizabeth Shockman and myself.
Yeah. So tell me about the process of writing a book about your life.
Elizabeth approached me more than 10 years ago, and this project took a long time. I think that's something that people misjudge. They think it's so easy to just have success. It's like actually that project, for example, that was like 12 years in the making.
It's a long
like
time.
The movie, that was also a huge amount of patience. It's like if you want to be successful, you better learn how to get patient. But that process was many different iterations before we finally found somebody who wanted to create the book. It first was going to be a children's book, and then it was a young adult's book, and then it was something that was fiction based on my story. And then we just decided to do the route that we took, which is biographical. But then in the end of the book, we kind of have this commentary on what does the ballet world need? Where are we in terms of like geopolitics? It was very much a snapshot of a certain moment and a lesson to my former self, like my former younger self who struggled very heavily with body image and feeling worthy. And I guess like the mission of the book is to say, you can do hard things if you put your mind to it. I truly believe that. It's so cliche. It's very American of me. But if you have a dream and if you are passionate and diligent enough, you can achieve it. Maybe it's going to look different than what it is.
Look different.
And when you reach it, is it the thing that you wanted? Don't know.
Yeah, never.
But if you are willing to sacrifice, you can achieve greatness and whatever you want to do. But it's like, what does that entail? What are you willing to give up?
I mean,
is it worth it?
Your story is I mean, unique is a big word, but pretty damn unique. So your book, I mean, so someone reading this, they're tracing the trajectory of a girl born in California, moves to Texas. You mentioned you're from this sort of insular community. You're one of 9 children.
Yeah.
You go to a Russian ballet academy in the U.S., and then at 15, you're at a Russian ballet school in Russia. You dance in Korea. You travel around. You dance in Paris Opera. You're in movies and TV shows, and I mean, it's a wild. Does the book capture what a wild ride it is? Like, do you read it and you're like, Jesus Christ?
It's more of a reflection of a girl becoming a woman, and whether
Under a lot
I was
of
going to
pressure.
be, and I think that there's a lot of like that sounds so glamorous, but I was so lonely and so broken and so self-harmful in some ways, and it's a question of like, is that worth it? Is the ultimate ideal goal of being a prima ballerina worth hurting yourself over, or I don't know, to what lengths are you willing to go through to achieve your dreams?
You have an answer to that? Was it worth it?
Yes, I would do it 100% all over again. Like, ballet is my passport to the world, and I have such a deep love for this art form and for people, and to share people's stories, and like, what is it to be a ballerina if not to just tell a story or to share a human experience with somebody? It's like, we need more narrative classical ballets for sure, but it's like, what is it about you that's human? Like, to be human is to be extraordinary. Like, that's what makes us different from being animals.
Yeah. And doing ballet is what makes you different than the rest of normal humans.
I mean, it's kind of a psycho thing to do. Like, but it's beautiful, and it's such, like, you cannot capture that. Like, you have, that moment is just that moment. I'll never, like, I say this all the time, but it's like, it doesn't matter what you did yesterday. You still start back over, put your hand on the bar. It's ground zero. It's like, I could have been great yesterday, but who I am, who are you going to be today? I like, not just are my tendus beautiful, but who am I as a person? Have I touched you? Have I made you feel? What is it that you feel?
Yeah. When I think about that kid in Montreal doing Tommy Potter Breakley Side sort of shot bouncing around with his head and everything, I'm thinking about that, and I'm like, he was wanting to express, he was wanting to reach an audience. And so he was wanting really the right thing. Like, it is easy in ballet to forget that we do this to make an audience member feel something. I lament for him that he was skipping technique, and maybe he's found it since. It's been a long time, but it's so easy. Like, the point of what we're doing, and I admire that I admire people like him who are there for expression, because that is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to take the human experience and make it into something that you can communicate to an audience member and let them digest it, and then they leave having felt something. That's supposed to be what we do. Discipline.
Through discipline, you can have true expression.
Yeah. I think a lot of us get stuck with the discipline and don't end up expressing much.
We've demonized it. We've said, oh, somebody who's told me no is wrong. But sometimes through saying no to certain things, it means you can do greater things.
Yeah.
Like, no to my heel being turned in, but that means my heel is going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
And the line's
and it unlocks all these abilities.
Yeah.
If you get your turnout right, you're going to be able to do so much more than you could have ever done had you skipped learning turnout. I mean, that's the thing. It's a ballet is a crucible. But yeah, my teacher was always like, he was always like, real freedom happens inside the box. Stas. He was just like, you respect the box, but then inside that box you will find this depth of freedom. But if you see the box and you go, fuck the box, I want to be all around here, it'll all stay pretty shallow. And I think that's true.
It's maturity.
Yeah, but you better figure that out young, because then
Yeah.
the body limit. That's the great tragedy with ballet, is then the body limits you. If you figure all that out too late, your knees you can't do it anymore.
No.
It's a motherfucker of a career. And I feel I'll stick on this just for a second too, because I see girls who I would assume are going through something similar to what you went through, put yourself through. It personally breaks my heart. I give it a lot of thought. I am now, I'm 29 years old. I'm around young, women and girls struggling with this stuff, and I feel so ineffectual, so unable to do anything to help. I don't think there's anything I can say that's helpful that they wouldn't already know. What advice would you give about looking back? Because it breaks my heart when I see a kid who at 20 thinks they're getting old, which is what 20-year-old ballet dancers
that's sad,
think.
but
And they're not eating, and they're
yeah.
self-harming, and it's clear.
Yeah.
And I hate the feeling of powerlessness when I see it, and I don't have a helpful sentence to give them to fix it all.
Yeah, be kind, be loving. I think that, unfortunately, like saying something like, oh, you look so great, or you look so skinny, or something like that actually causes more harm than you think.
For sure.
Ultimately, I have to say the thing that was the game changer for me, it was like, this process or this habit or this way of thinking has not served me. It's only harmed me. And so it was until I decided that, no, I was going to choose health. I was going to choose balance. I was going to choose myself, and had faith, even when it felt like I was gaining weight or etc., to see that actually I was better, I was stronger, I was more mentally resilient by choosing health. Then it clicked for me. So no amount of my teacher even making me soup or trying to force me to eat, or no amount of somebody being like, oh, you need to go to an eating disorder reform program, like that actually was worse for me. That actually pushed the goalpost 2 years down the post. And it literally, I will tell you, it was a moment of like, I've tried all of the things in the past and that didn't work for me. So what if I choose health? So what if I choose being honest with myself? So what if I choose eating the protein? What if I choose radical acceptance? Like, hey, I haven't tried that before.
Yeah.
So let's try that.
Did you hit, would you say you sort of hit rock bottom?
Yeah. Yeah, I felt, I mean, it was horrible. I left Russia, and I had not of my own volition. Like, I really had decided for myself that no, Russia is like actually where I wanted to retire, and I wanted to be part of that decision. But then I also was choosing to be married and choosing that like actually my life is bigger than just me being on stage. Like, I had seen a whole bunch of people who I looked up to who then in their 50s and 60s were alone. And
Yeah.
like,
by the
you
way,
need
I
to think about your
Yeah.
life after dance or continuing in dance. Like, I don't think I'll ever be separated from that, but it's like, you have to be human. You're not going to get any gold medals for being, because you are expendable in this career.
You are.
So you have to decide why you're doing it. Are you doing it for love, or are you doing it for somebody saying that you did a good job?
Yeah.
Is validation more important than who you are?
Yeah.
And so many dancers are working for, I want to be famous. It's like, are you trying to be a good dancer because you want to be famous, or are you trying to be a good dancer because you love it?
Yeah.
What is more important for you? The accolades or the validation from your peers or your followers? Or is it, no, I truly am, like, why is it that you dance?
Yeah.
What is your why?
I think I would say we are. I personally think I have. Losing sight of the why is easy.
Very much.
I personally struggle with that
It's like,
because there's just so much. There's so much great to it. Like when I'm on stage and I'm getting cheered for in some new country with big 1,000 people, 3,000 people, and I've done well. The show went well, and that's the best feeling ever. And then there's days where I just am like, I'm fucking better than this. As a person, I don't deserve to deal with what I'm dealing with today. And yeah, I don't know. You do have to sort of ground it into like, why am I doing this? And am I getting that? Am I on the way to getting that? Is Is the sacrifice currently worth it? It's a very tough calculus.
Luis, like if I were going to ask you a question, it's like there's times where you stepped away from it and then you chose it.
Yeah, it's true,
Why?
actually.
You know? And why?
Yeah. I'll
Ask
tell you
yourself
what,
that.
Yeah, I
on
tell
the
you what,
hard
when I did decide to come back to ballet, this will be a good note to reach our end on. I went on a surfing trip to Costa Rica with my friend Charles. And he knows me from high school, from conservatory. He studied acting, I studied ballet. And he said, I'm gonna catch one in. That means you're gonna catch your last wave of the session, and you're gonna ride it all the way to the beach, and then you're done surfing for that piece of the day. So he said, I'm gonna catch one, and he caught one in. And I said, I'll catch one in too. So he gets to the shore, and I caught a wave that was like taller than me, and I surfed all on the side of it, up and down, and dropped down again, and popped down to my belly and rode it all the way into the beach. And when I got to the beach, he said, hey man, that was amazing. He kept hitting the word amazing. He said, that was amazing. What you just did was amazing. And you amazed me. And then he said, you haven't amazed me like that since you were doing ballet. And I would come see all your shows. And he didn't mean it in a mean way. He just was like, he goes, suddenly I remembered the feeling of like, Louis does amazing things and I have been amazed. And the next week I went and took a ballet class.
Wow.
Because I was like, I can do amazing things. And I'm not right now. I'm working in an office and I got a boss that doesn't value me and I'm making the same exact dollar amount every week for nothing. And fuck this. I want to do something amazing. And now I do feel that I do amazing things. So that hit the guy, that gave me the compass to come back. And I was 25. It was like, dude, you do it now or you don't do it at all.
Yes. But that's what's to be human, is to be resilient and to do amazing
Yeah.
things. So it's like to be a ballet dancer is to be incredibly human.
Yeah.
Because you can go back and work in that office.
Sure.
You'll be able to do that. And it's
Yeah.
like you have, the time is now. And that's also being human. Like do your maximum in the moment.
Yeah. We all only get so long, and sometimes it gets cut short, as you and I both know. I think that's it.
Yep.
That's what I have for you. There's so many other things on this.
Yeah.
I would recommend anybody check out your book, Behind the Velvet Curtain. I would recommend anybody see the film about you, Joyka. I would recommend anyone watch the new TV show Etoile, which you're in. I would also recommend anyone check out the Leap of Dance Academy in Nigeria, which we didn't get time to cover. And you put a lot of interesting stuff up on TikTok and on Instagram. You're pretty prolific there, and I think you're very thoughtful and start a lot of good conversations. So I would say that's it. My guest today has been Joy Womack, an internationally renowned prima ballerina who's danced all around the world, and was the, I believe, second ever American ballerina to graduate from the Bolshoi Academy, joined the company. And we recorded this episode in London at Podcast House. The original music was created by Elliot McPhee. I've been your host, Louis D. Felice, and we'll see you next time.